And the Prophet called, because she came to the Prophet in another narration, she came to him and said, he pokes me while I pray. And so he asked her, why do you do that? He goes, she stole my surahs.
I'll mention at this time an example of giving an explanation to a hadith based on ignorance that's in front of us. And we'll mention the name of the person because we warn the Muslims against these frauds and pretenders to knowledge all of the time. One of them is named Nouman Ali Khan, known as the professor and the ustad in tafsir, the specialist in tafsir. So he mentions a hadith one time when he's confronting the issue with a preconceived notion that intermingling is fine. The preconceived notion is that men and women can mix and it's no big problem. And in order to justify this, there's a hadith very difficult for these people. Many ahadith very difficult for them to understand. One of them is the best salah of a woman is in her makhda, in her house. Allah Ta'ala had made the best salah of a woman not only in her house, but in the inner chamber of her house. Not in her, living room by the front door, but in her bedroom, not only in the bedroom, but in the innermost chamber of her bedroom. And that is akmal lis-satr. That is to be in the best possible way of being concealed and not viewed by anyone. If the front door opens by mistake, the husband comes home and has guests with him or something, and she's there is a possibility, a rare possibility here, of her being seen by people who are not her family. So even to protect herself more, she prays in her inner chambers, in her house. And that's the best place for her salat. Her salat there is more virtuous, as comes in the authentic narrations from the Messenger, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So Nouman Ali Khan comes to this hadith, and he invents a story that involves the Messenger, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he lies upon the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
Listen, here's some history. Umayma radiallahu ta'ala anha was married. And this woman was married to a husband, a sahabi, who was obsessed with her. He was obsessed with her. Actually, you have to learn the other text. This woman used to pray at home, and he used to poke her while she was praying. So she came to the Prophet ﷺ and she said, my husband pokes me when I'm praying. So the Prophet called him. He called him. And he said, why do you poke her when you pray? And he said, well, this is a beautiful answer. He says, she stole my surahs. You know what happened? He used to make salah, and she used to pray next to him in jama'ah. He recited the Quran. She heard it one time, hafizat surah. She memorized the surah. And now she's praying on her own. He goes, hey, that was my surah, hey. But let's analyze this psychologically a little bit. He was so obsessed with this woman, even when she was paying attention to God on her own, he got jealous. And he used to poke her. So she said, I should come to the masjid. I should come to the masjid and pray. Now why does she want to come to the masjid and pray? Because she wants to get away from Pokieman. So she wants to come to the masjid and pray. Now the husband got very upset. No, I don't want her to come to the masjid. If he's so jealous of her that he gets jealous even when she talks to God, what do you think is going to happen if she goes to the masjid for half an hour? Where is she? She left me? She coming back? She divorced me? She finally different? He's going to go crazy. So the Prophet ﷺ told this woman, listen, go in the innermost part of your house and pray there. Why the innermost part of your house? So he can't find you when you're praying. And if you come to the masjid and pray, it might destroy your marriage. So you need to fix your marriage situation first. So this is the advice I'm giving you. Now another group of women, also Sahih Hadeeth, another group of women come.
And it is no problem now, after hearing this, for you to say, Nouman Ali Khan is a liar upon the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He has invented a story between a woman from the companions and her husband, that the woman was so beloved to her husband that every time he's in the house, he's bothering her, poking her, and going after her. And so when she prays, he continues to poke her. He invents the whole story. There's a whole story going on here that has no place in any of the books of explanation of the hadith, not mentioned by any of the scholars, ever. Just totally invented a modern invention and a lie on the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and on the companions. He claims that she was being poked all the time in her salah. And so the Prophet allegedly, and this is a lie, remember, from Nouman Ali Khan, the Prophet allegedly calls him. Why are you poking the woman while she prays? He says, because she stole my Quran, and it's a big joke and everyone's laughing. Meaning he's jealous that she learned the Quran that he knew. She's reciting it in her salah in the house, and he apparently, being a noble companion here, can't stand that she's dedicated to her Lord and needs to poke her and bother her while she prays. First of all, you see in the invention of such a story, does the person even think well of the companions to invent such a story? He thinks the companions were jokers like him, people of little reverence of Allah Ta'ala. I ask you, a believing man who has a wife, from the signs that the story is a total contrived lie, a Muslim man, any Muslim man, who doesn't like that his wife is engaged in worship of Allah Ta'ala. He's displeased with this. He wishes his wife would stop worshiping Allah. What do you say about such a person? He's either a disbeliever, a hypocrite outside of Islam, or on the verge of leaving Islam with that kind of stance on his wife praying. So engulfed in ignorance or outside of Islam expressly. So do you think the companions were like this? The companions who fought at the side of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam to advance Islam, when their wives would be dedicated to the worship of Allah, they would be jealous? Abadan, never. We say to you, you're a kadhab. You've lied upon the companions, and you've included the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in your lie, in your story that you made up. And if he says no, I've heard this from the scholars of Hadith, then he means those teachers that he pays to teach at his school who are not anything close to scholars. That does not free him of blame. So if we say, when he's encountered about this, he says, well, I just heard this from my teachers. We say, name the liars that you're learning from. Name the liars that you're setting up to lie on the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the people, and don't think you're excused because you heard it from your scholar of Hadith. Name him so we can be warned of him too. So then the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam allegedly advises this woman to pray in the innermost chamber of her house because of that. So then he says what? The hadith about praying in the innermost chamber is specific to one event, to a specific kind of incident that occurred between an aggressive husband and his wife. It is not guidance for all of the women.
Now, if you don't know the background and you say women should pray in the innermost part of their home, and somebody who's got like a psychological disorder against women, and he gets married and he's yelling at his wife because she didn't pray in the closet, and he pulls out the hadith,
So you have invented a lie. You are attempting to change Islamic teachings. Through that lie, you are trying to change the sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's not just a lie. It's a lie and tahrif al-sharia. It is a lie that has packed with it, bundled with it, an attempt to change Allah's legislation. Ala khatar shadid jiddan, this man. And it's amazing that people would think we're going to go to him, he's the ustad, and we have to respect him like we respect the scholars of Islam, and not mention him with bad because he brings so much good to the people. He's a liar on the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the days of our Salaf, that's it. He's abandoned at that time. In the days of the people who cared about this deen, and they lived for this deen, then such a person is disqualified. That's it. He's done. So, and then he proceeded at the end of the hadith, or somewhere in his invented story, he said that he referred to the companion as Pokieman.
I should come to the masjid and pray. Now, why does she want to come to the masjid and pray? Because she wants to get away from Pokieman.
He referred to the companion as Pokieman. First, the story never happened. Secondly, he involved the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It never happened. And then he made words of insult, addressing a companion doing something that he never did, and said a word of abuse to the companion. How many different angles of falsehood is involved in that one little bit of speech, that he would refer to a companion as Pokieman because he pokes his wife when she tries? This is absolutely intolerable. And I say to people who listen to this, don't get mad at me. I didn't lie on the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you want to get mad for the sake of a person, then be mad for the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and be upset and be extremely offended for the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you want another person to be upset on behalf of, then be upset on behalf of his noble companions, radiyallahu anhum, those who are lied upon in this story. Don't be upset with me. I'm your brother. I convey this to you out of love and out of concern, that you be warned of such people who are corrupting your religion. You are a young person who's been raised on those teachings. Fear Allah and get away from that nonsense and come to the people who are teaching the religion based on authentic teachings.